Is this the kind of two-piece you would want to learn how to make? If yes, stay to the end of this video. I actually think this is the kind of two-piece you should learn how to make because this is really beautiful. It is trendy, it's trending and trendy. You know what that means, right? Good. So in this tutorial, you will learn how to make this palazzo trouser. Okay. It's freehand drafting, not pattern drafting, which of course is something a lot of people like, freehand drafting, right? You will learn how to fix this cargo pocket on the palazzo trouser, right? You will learn how to cut the crop top. Is a top and a pants is tucked in, right? You will learn how to cut the top, how to stitch it. Beyond that, you also learn how to make the collar. Yes, this collar, this very beautiful collar you are seeing. You see how well seated this pants is looking. No excess, fabric, around the flap or the crotch area. Everything is given. It is beautiful. So if this is what you would want to learn how to make, which of course I think you should, stay to the end of this class, okay? All right, so we're on the cutting table right now. I have folded my fabric into two. We are going to be drafting the front panel of the pants first, okay? So I have my fabric folded into two as it is our tradition. I'm going ahead to, measure out 3 inches on the side. The reason why I'm measuring out that 3 inches is because we are first of all going to draft a proper pant and then alter it into a palazzo. So I am measuring my crotch. You know how to get your crotch? Your hip divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches. That is how to get your crotch, in case your client is not nearby for you to measure them directly. You just divide your hip into 4 and add a 1.5 inches to it. This is how I got my crotch for this project, okay? So on the crotch line, I'm going to be imputing my hips divided by 4 right about now. Hips divided by 4 on the crotch line. Don't forget, all the measurements are starting from after that 3 inches line. So I am going to be connecting my hip line up to the origin line, and then on that origin line I'm going to be coming in by 0.5 and then connect it back into the actual hip line. Why I did this is to prevent those bulge around the crotch area in the front panel of the pants, right? So once I was done doing that, I'm going to be imputing my towel measurements or my lap measurements divided by 2 to get our front panel crotch extension. Okay, so if your towel or your lap is 20, you divide it into 2 and then impute it. That is how you get your front crotch measurement. So you've taken your hips, you've taken your towel, right about now you are imputing your waist divided by 4, your waist circumference divided by 4. So you are taking your waist measurement from your hip line. So guys, I'm really not going to lay so much emphasis on how to draft a pants and all, because I have thought on how to achieve this different training or tutorials here on this channel, okay? So the next we are going to be taking right now is our knee line, okay? So I measure my knee line from the origin line. So for instance, if your waist to your knee is 22, I minus 2 and then I did 20 to give it proper fitting around the knee. So right about now I am taking the full length of the pants, okay, full length of the palazzo trouser. So if the measurement you have is your ankle measurement, your waist to your ankle, go ahead to add about 5 inches to it to give you that palazzo flow, on the bottom. But if you are opportune to measure your clients, directly from the waist to the floor, it is perfect. So I'm just going to connect all of this line right now with a straight row, as you can see me do. I've connected for the knee and then I am connecting for the hem, okay? All right, hope you are following, right? Okay, so the next thing we are going to be doing right about now is to get our grain line. Okay, so I placed my tape rule, on the thigh measurements, and I divided it by 2. So whatever I have, I'm going to mark it down. This is how to get your grain line. Okay, so you place your tape rule from your starting line, on the side, so where you have your crotch extension, which is your lap measurement, you divide it into 2, and then you impute half of it on your knee line, and then on the ankle line, and also on your crotch line, and then you get a straight ruler to connect all of those marks together. So this line right now is called your grain line. Okay, your grain line, right? This actually gives your pants a proper fit. Okay, you know what you're doing when you have lines like this. So I am going to be imputing my knee circumference divided by 2. So if your knee circumference is 25, you divide it by 2, that is 12.5, and then you split it on both sides, and then you connect from your hip line into your knee circumference line that you just got, your knee circumference markings that you just got right now, as you can see me illustrate right about now. And then I'm going to be connecting from my crotch line right now to my knee circumference on the other side with a slight curve, right? Okay, so the next thing we are going to be doing now is to impute our ankle measurement. So your ankle measurement divided by 2, and then you impute it. So if you have watched this video up to this point, I will encourage you to please like, share, and then kindly subscribe to this channel for more explicit videos such as this. So right about now, I am connecting my lines together from the crotch to my ankle, and then from the hip line to the ankle to get our pants. So for instance, if you are drafting just a straight pant, you've succeeded in drafting a straight pant. This is how to draft a proper pant. Okay, but we are going to be altering this pattern and turn it into a palazzo. This is how I get my palazzo. I make sure I get a proper pant first. You just give me that beautiful fit. Okay, and then I alter it into a palazzo right about now. So the next we are going to be doing, we are going to be coming down by 0.5 by 0.5 inch on that crotch curve line. Okay, we came down by it to create a form of ease. We are turning it into a palazzo. We don't want it to be tight or too tight. Okay, so we came down by 0.5. Then you are going to determine how wide you want your palazzo to be, and then you are going to go ahead to start adding inches. On this one, I added 4 more inches to both sides, 4 inches here, 4 inches on the other side. Okay, so I added 8 inches to my ankle line, and then I will connect from the hip line to meet with the 4 inches I just added. Okay, you can add from 3 inches to 5 inches upward. It depends on how wide you want your palazzo to be, and then how much fabric you have within at your disposal at the time of doing your palazzo. Okay, so I connect from my 4 inches on this other side to my crotch, and guys, we have succeeded in drafting our palazzo. We first of all drafted a proper pants and then altered it into a palazzo. It is this easy. Okay, if you have any question, please go ahead to ask your question on the comment section. It is always a delight for me to answer your questions. Okay, and make sure that you are not lost at any point. But do well to like, share, subscribe, and give a thumbs up. Okay, so we are going ahead right now to cutting out the pants. So at this point, we are done cutting out the pants. So I'm just going to be coming down by 1 inch, on that front area, and then connecting it back into the waist line. We are going to be cutting out that part to prevent some bulge around, the band area, for benefit of those who probably have a bit of tummy. It always gives you that beautiful fit, actually, right? So we are going to be cutting the back panel of our palazzo. So I place the front panel on new folded fabric, and then we are going to be extending getting our back crotch. So I measure my hips, divide it into 2. I mark, and then from that mark I place my tape rule to get a quarter of my hip. This is how we determine our back crotch extension. I have taught all of this in previous videos. Please do well to watch other videos so that you can get yourself abreast if there is any place you are missing out. So once we are done by that, On this upper part, I'm going to be going up by 2 inches, okay, to create allowance for the birds, right? And then I minus 1 inch from the front panel, okay, on the back from the front, and then replace it at the back, as you can see me do. And then I'm just going to go ahead to connect it back into my hip line. What I am doing right now just gives the pants a proper fit. As you saw on the footer, you saw how the pants was well seated, no excess fabric, no bulge and all. And then I connected my back crotch, okay? Please go over this video over and over and over again if you are lost at any point, and do well to ask your question if there is any, okay? So once we are done with that, we are going to go ahead to impute our seam allowances. When we drafted the front panel, we didn't add seam allowances, so I'm just going to be adding 2.5 inches as my seam allowances. I added to the knee, and then I'm going ahead to add to the hem, and then I'll connect it with a straight roll. All right, just like this. On the back crotch extension, you should come down by 0.7 inch, just like we did for the front crotch extension. We came down by 0.5, when we were, altering it into a palazzo. This just gives your pants proper fitting and ease around the necessary places, okay? So you're able to sit, you're able to raise your legs and all. So we're just going to go ahead right now to cut out our palazzo. We are done with the drafting, all right? Please go ahead to ask your question if you have any, okay? Give this video a like, give it a thumbs up, do well to share it so that other people can see, right, and learn, okay? So we are just doing the cuts out right now. So we are cutting out that 1 inch that we came down by, on the front panel to prevent, the upper waist bulge, right? So this is what we have, the back panel and the front panel, all right? So in other videos, I have taught how to insert, pockets, and all. But in this one, I'm going to be teaching you how to, create your cargo pockets and how to attach it, how to install it on your palazzo trouser. So we are going to go ahead right now to join this together. So you are joining back panel to back panel, front panel to front panel, as you can see. All right, so you join on the crotch area, okay? And for the front panel, you also join on the crotch area, right? And then you join the sides to enable us fix our cargo pocket. So I have fixed one cargo pocket. I'm going to be showing you how to fix, on using the other side. Okay, you see how beautiful the cargo pocket is looking, well seated, all right? So don't worry, I'm going to be showing you what to do, how to achieve this, okay? So this is the other side, right? I have my pockets, right? I've taught how to fix a pocket differently. Please get the videos in the channel and watch. So from where your pocket ended, you're going to be coming down by 4 inches. From where your side pocket ended, you come down by 4 inches. As you can see, I have marked. So this is the fabric we're going to be using for the cargo. The width is measuring 13 inches, and the length is measuring 10 inches, okay? So I fold it into 2, I iron it to get my grain line. I need that line, the midpoint line, okay? So once I was done with that, I open it up, I place my tape roll. Let me take away this cargo so that the pants, so that I can see properly. So I'm going to be measuring 2 inches on one side and 2 inches on the other side, right? Just like this. So make a total of 4 inches. So I bring the same measurement down, all right? 2 inches on the side, 2 inches on the side. I'm going to be connecting it with a straight roll, all right? I'm going to be connecting it with a straight line, just like this, okay? And then once I was done with that, I pick it and I make a pleat out of it. I make sure when we're making the pleat, it meets, that grain line, right? it makes that green line, okay, just like this, okay, and then you iron it so that it stays well in place for you, and also pin it up, right? So this is one way of making a cargo pocket. You may choose not to have this design on your cargo pocket. It's totally dependent on you, but peradventure you would want it. This is how to go about it. So I'm just going to use a stitch to hold it down for me, right? So I just stitch that plate together. So with this kind of plate, you can choose to use any parts of it the way it is, like this, because when you flip it over to the other side, it's giving you a different design, and what is showing on this upper part is also a different design. As you can see, you can choose to use either side, right? It depends on, you know, which you want. You see the plates, you can choose to use either side of the design is perfect, okay? So after this, I am going to measure 2 inches, and then I use it to fold, you know, the top parts of the pockets, you know, just like this. I double fold it. I actually use 1.5 because I'll be using the remaining. I double folded it, okay, and then I'm stitching on it to give it a neat finishing. This is for the top parts of the pocket. This part of the pocket is going to be facing the upper area, right? So I just have to finish it up, because we're going to be using another piece of fabric to finish up, you know, the edges, okay? It's part of the cargo process. This is just one way of achieving your cargo pocket. There is another way, okay? So I have this strip with me. It's measuring 2 inches, you know, in width. So I place it. I first fold the upper edge, okay, to give me a neat finishing. So I place it, and then I'm going to be sewing it round the pockets, excluding this upper part that we've already folded. So please watch how I pick the fabric, and then I continue. You know, it's having a square shape, so this is how to go about it. So I continue stitching like this, right? Don't forget we are making a cargo pocket. So once I got to this and last part, I also fold it in, double fold it, just like we did when we started, you know, to have the perfect finishing that we require. So I flip in that 2 inches that we just joined to the pockets like this, and then I'm going to top stitch on it. You can do also iron before top stitching, but I'm just going to go ahead to top stitch on it, you know, as 4 corner like that. So we are done top stitching right about now. So it has properly flipped that 2 inches strip inward. So the next thing we are going to be doing after now is to fold this 2 inches strip that we just added to it. We are going to be folding half an inch like this and iron it, okay? You fold it half an inch, and then you use your iron to iron it down, okay? You fold and you iron, you fold and you iron. It gets wide. You will see the reason shortly after now. So at this point, I am done ironing it to give me that fold. So I bring back my Palazzo pants, and then I position it properly, going back to that 4 inches that we measured earlier, that 4 inches mark we made earlier, right? So I'm confirming it for you again in case you missed out at the first time we did it. So I just place my cargo pockets on it like this, making sure that the center line of the cargo pockets sits on the center line of the Palazzo pants, that side line, that side seam. And then I'm going to use my chalk to shape out the size of the pockets, okay? The size of the pockets and the shape of the pockets. I'm using my chalk to do that. This will enable us stitch it to the pants with some form of ease, okay? no wobbling. It's going to be really straight when you do it like this. So that's 0.5 inch that we fold is what we are going to sew on these lines that we just made. But before we start sewing, let me pin it down first. So I am done pinning this like this. So I just fold in that 0.5 and place it on those lines we just made with our jerk, and then I'm just going to top stitch on it just like that. So this is attaching the pockets to your palazzo after constructing the pockets. So you just watch keenly on how I'm doing this. So once I was done with that, I'm going to turn it. I raise up my footer and then I turn it. And then continue stitching on my 0.5 inch that we folded in. So we are done. The next thing we are going to be doing now is to create the cover for the pants, okay? Is to create a cover for the cargo pockets rather. This is the cover. So we are going to be creating. So I measure the total size of the pocket and it's measuring 9 inches. So I'm going to be cutting the fabric measuring 10 inches in width and then 10 inches in length, right? Then I'll fold it into two like this, okay? Sew both sides and turn. So when you sew and turn, you're going to be having 4.5 inch left. You iron it and you top stitch on it on the sides, okay? You're having 4.5 inches left. You use 0.5 each to stitch it to your pants and you are left with 4 inches. So I'm going to top stitch it like this. So I'm done sewing it. I'm going to cover it, and then top stitch on it like this, okay? So once we top stitch on it like this, we are done installing our cargo pockets. Hope this was useful and helpful to you. So this is it when we're done installing. You see it's looking fine and beautiful. Alright, so like, share, give a thumbs up and do well to subscribe. So we're going to be going ahead right now to draft the top for this pants, okay? After now. So here I have my fabric already folded out. So we're going to be cutting the back and the front panel together, okay? So I'm going to be measuring from my center back to where I want the sleeve to get to. After measuring my origin line, and then I impute it, adding 2 inches to it as my folding allowance for the sleeve. So I'm taking my neckline measurements of 3 inches in width. For the front panel, 3.5 inches in depth, and then for the back panel, 1 inch as depth, okay? Don't forget you are cutting both the front and the back panel together. And please note that this top has a collar. So we are doing 3 inches by 3.5 inches for the front, 3 inches by 1 inch for the back. So for the shoulder slope, I came down by 2 inches and then I'm connecting it into the neckline. So once I'm done with it, I'm going to be measuring my arm and then impute it. So I'm measuring my bust points at this point. It's not very necessary, but just for accuracy. And then I'm measuring the length of the top. The length of the top is 22 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance for folding. I bring the marks to this part and then I'm going to connect it with a straight line. So the next thing we are going to do, I impute my hip circumference divided by 4. I'm sorry, that part did not get to show, but I'm going to carry you along again. So I impute my length, my length, and then 2 inches for seam allowance. I mentioned that earlier. I connected it this way, and then on this length, I impute my hips divided by 4 plus 3 inches for ease, and then I connected it up to meet with the armhole of the top, just like that. Okay, just like that, to meet with the yes. So I curved it to create, my armhole, just like that. It's not difficult. I'm gonna go ahead right now to cut it out. It's just a simple kimono top. Okay, so at this point we are done. So I'm going to be cutting the back neckline. So once we are done cutting the back neckline, but I want to iron it because I need the gray line for the back. Okay, because it's going to be having one button. There's going to be an opening for easy wearing, right? So I have pulled out the front. This is the back. I came down by 5 inches to create the opening for the back. Okay, we're going to use bias to tidy up this opening. So we are done. As you can see, I open it up like this. I'm going to place the front panel on it so that we can stitch. Okay, so once we've done that, I'm going to join the shoulders. Right, we're going to join the shoulders and then fold the hem of the sleeve this way. We added 2 inches for that. After that, we are going to join the sides and then fold the hem of the top. That's all, guys. Okay, and then we are going to be creating the collar for the neck. So I bring my top after I'm joining, and then I'm going to be measuring the circumference of my neckline. So I measure my neckline round about it to get the measurement, just like this. So whatever you got, you divide it by 2. Okay, whatever you got from the measuring of your neck, you divide it by 2. So let's assume we got 20. I roll my paper to get a straight line. So let's assume you got 20 inches, you divide it by 2, that is 10. So I'm going to be imputing the 10 like this. So 10 inches like this. Okay, I bring it up, mark my 10 inches. I can get a straight line and then I connect it with my ruler. So after that, I'm going to determine the width of my collar. At this point, I'm going to be using 3 inches. Okay, 3 inches. This collar is not going to have a collar stand, and then I connect my line. Okay, so after now, I'm going to be determining the arc of my collar, Okay, and I'm using 3.5 inches like this, and then I connect it. This is what I mean by the arc, this long parts, okay? And then I connect it like this. I'm going to be coming down by 0.7 inch here, and then I will connect it. This is to create a balance, you know, around the shoulder area. You know, the shoulder is not very straight, it's slopey and slanting, so I didn't have to do some minusing around that place. And then I connected it with a slight curve. So after this, now we are done drafting our collar. We're going to go ahead right now to cut it out. So once we are done cutting it out, we'll place it on our fabric and then cut it out on our fabric. So this is our collar. I just want to show you what it looks like. So I'm chopping out a little of that part. I didn't trim it properly. As you can see, something very little. So these are the color we set, and then we are going to be cutting two, one to the left, one to the right. Okay, but we'll end up cutting four because we need the same. We are going to be cutting 2 for 1, 2 for 1. We are using the same fabric to turn the collar. Okay, so this is the fabric for the collar. So we are going to be cutting out 4 pieces, 2 to 1, 2 to 1, using 1 to turn 1. Do not forget to add the 0.5 inches round about it. The only place so as you can see, we have a total of 4, 2 to 1, 2 to 1. So I'm placing it on my interface in my gum stay so that I can infuse a gum stay on it to give it firmness. So once we are done, this is it. I'm going to take it to my sewing machine. You use one to turn the other, and then you sew the top. You sew this, don't sew that down part. You sew both sides and then the top. Okay, you're not sewing the down part because I using that down part to turn it inside out and then stitch to your outfits. So this is it when we are done. This is looking so well and beautiful. You see the pattern, paper, everything is looking properly put together. Please do well to subscribe to this channel, like, share this video, and give it a thumbs up if you have watched to this point. Do not just download this video. Do well to subscribe, like, and share. So I'm bringing my top so that we can fix it. So I'm trying to get the midpoint of my top for the front with a notch. Okay, so I pick up my collar and then I place it starting from the notch on the center front, and then I pin it properly. See that everything is equal, no excess. Peradventure you are having excess, you can take it back and reduce it, but for this there is no excess. So you sew it after you are pinned, and then do the same to the other collar. So once you are done pinning, take it into your sewing machine and then you sew it down. You sew it down. After sewing it, you use your bias, okay, to tidy up the rough edges. This is what you should have. You see how beautiful the color is looking. So you take it to your sewing machine and then you sew, okay? Once you are done sewing, use your bias to tidy it up, and then we are done, guys. Thank you for staying tuned. Hope you found value in this tutorial. Do it to like, share and subscribe. Bye bye.